Okay, this is going to be a longer assignment, but it's really the same thing over and over again. So we're going to start working in Python. The first thing is this process that I just told you about um, in the last assignment is going to work a little bit different in this assignment. And that is, in this one, you're going to ask um, four questions, but three math questions. And really, it makes more sense in this one to input the math, then process the math, then output the math for one problem at a time. So, in other words, we have to do like for Celsius to Fahrenheit conversions. So, it makes sense to ask that question and then tell them that answer before we go on to the next one. Otherwise, maybe it'll confuse the poor user. So, if you're doing multiple math problems like this, you may want to do it one at a time. So let's just say that we needed to do that. The first thing that I always tell people to do is think about the data type. In this case, we're going to be asking people for uh, Celsius. Does it make sense that somebody might give half of a Celsius, half a degree? Um, does it make sense that the Fahrenheit might be half of a degree? And I think it does. Maybe usually people just tell you, it's 68 degrees out. They don't usually say it's 68.5 degrees out, right? They usually tend to give you whole numbers, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you're dealing with math, it wouldn't deal that way. Like in science class, if you're measuring how something is, how hot something is, you might get into fractions. So I would encourage in this assignment to always use floats. So let's just say, and maybe we'll do this first one together. I don't like to give you answers, but I'm not thinking of anything clever right now. But let's say we want to get the Celsius, and so this time we'll convert it to a float. So we'll get the temperature, right? And then we're going to process this one. And again, you don't need to put these things in here. They're just for me. So we got the temperature. Now we want to make some sort of conversion, right? And so I don't know if you want to call this Fahrenheit. I have a hard time spelling that one. So maybe you just wanted to use C for Celsius and F for Fahrenheit. We have to come up with what is the formula to take a Celsius number and convert it into a Fahrenheit number. Well, the good news is we have our friend Google. So we go over to the internet, and I typed it in already. And the even better news for Google is they, number one, have a whole bunch of different conversions here for different things. And number two, they have a whole bunch of options like Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin, and what we want to convert it to. And this is the best part, they give us the formula. And this is what we need in order to do our work. I mean, like Google, yeah, sure, we can put in 30 over here and it tells us what it is over there. But we're trying to do that ourselves. So we want to know, how did you get to that number? What was the formula that you used? So using this formula, we can build our formula. So it's going to be the Celsius times 9 over 5, and then you add 32 at the end of that. So we can do that. We can say it is the Celsius times 9 over 5, and then we can add 32, and I didn't put a parentheses there. So I just recreated that formula that Google told me, and then when I go to the output part of this, and I say, did I forget something? I forgot a parentheses way up here. So I'm going to print what the answer is. And it says temperature. And then what you want to do is you want to take some answer that you know to find out if it works, right? So what is the boiling point of water? In Celsius, it's 100, and in Fahrenheit, it's 212. So I should get 212. Hurrah! I did it. And because we used a floating point, we got the 212.0. So you can never really, if you want to really test, you can't tell if you got it right just testing something once. You really should test it with a few values that you know. So maybe you say 0 is 32, so I'll test it again. I'm getting them all right. This is excellent. So that's the kind of thing that you want to do. So there is temperature. Now the second one in the assignment was to do kilometers to meters, or kilometers to miles. So here we're looking for some sort of distance, and you're like, I wanted just to say distance. Does area work? Square foot? No, that's not it. So, length. There we go. Length is the same as distance, right? So we could say, what is a nautical mile into a nanometer? And it will tell us some formula. But we want kilometers into miles. And I happen to know if I do a 5K race that I'm running about 3.1 miles. And so we should get an answer that's something like this. And so here it tells you again the formula to get the right answer. And then the last one in this is how to convert liters to gallons. So there we would say we need volume, and we have a US, no, we would have a liter, and we want to convert that liters into gallons. And so we can again divide that by 3.785, and so that's going to tell us the answer. And so using that information, we should be able to complete all of the assignments on this one particular assignment, like all the calculations in this assignment. So good luck.